Hey, how you going?
Hi, dude. Sorry I'm a little bit late. Typical band guy, huh? You good?
It's all good, man. How you been?
Yeah, things are good, man. Things are good. Really excited for next week. New album's dropping, so been
Mm,
along.
let's talk about that straight off. Um,
Sure.
how long was it in the making, and how did it go?
Nice. We started working on the album like the moment that Shrine came out is what it felt like to me. So it's been about 2.5 years really. We've been working on it and we finished it up October last year. But we did do it in bits and bobs. We did the drum sessions separately. So we recorded 5 or 6 songs worth of drums when we had the first 5 or 6 songs that we knew were going to be on the album at the end
Mhm.
of 2023. And then we finished everything up for that, the guitars, the vocals, and then we did the other half, which was quite odd. But it kept us rolling, and because we had such a busy kind of touring schedule, it
Mhm.
kept everything moving. And I feel like when we finished the first 5 or 6 songs, we got a bit more of a, well, obviously we got a really clearer picture of where the album was going, and it actually helped finish the rest of the album because we were able to sit and be like, what are we missing? What do we need? What do
Mhm.
we already have from these songs? And that was, yeah, it was a great process. I really enjoyed it. It was just at times stressful, but what, when isn't it?
I would imagine so. The guitar work, the guitar riffs are quite complex at times,
Yeah.
and it seems both of you are doing different things which are intertwining. How do you write that? Do you and him sit down and do it together? Does one person both play both parts? How does it go?
Yeah, our writing process has changed over the years. We used to be one of those bands that would get into a rehearsal room and jam together and try and come up with songs while we were in the room together. Um, but since lockdown in 2020, that's changed a lot. And what typically tends to happen is Gunzi will write instrumentals from his home. So he'll put together the guitars, the drums, the bass. He'll have like a structure of the song. He'll have a bunch of riffs. He'll have like the verse, the pre-chorus, the chorus all kind of mapped out. And he'll bring it to us and we'll start to collaborate on it. And then I'll do the same with some songs. So typically there's a lot of there's a lot of writing that goes on individually, and then we kind of come together and refine it over the course of what turns out to be years. But
Whatever works, eh? Whatever works.
yeah, that's it.
Let's talk about how you joined the band. How did that come about?
So in 2016, I got a message from Gunzi, and he was just saying, "Hey, I know this is out of the blue, because we had only met once, and it was very brief." Um, and he was like, "We're looking for a guitarist. Would you be interested in trying out?" And just to give you a little bit of background to that, in Glasgow, there isn't a massive metal scene. There's a great metal scene. The bands here, in my opinion, are good, but it's not a particularly big scene, and it's not a scene that a band have really emerged from in past and done an awful lot in metal anyway. We have like rock bands like Biffy Clyro and stuff that have done really well, but there's never been a sort of metal band that's come out of Glasgow and done particularly big things or anything like that. Um, at the time when they asked me to join, Bleed From Within were my inspiration. I had a picture of the guys on my wall. I had a signed ticket from them when I went to see them in 2010. So it was really weird, and it was really like, oh, okay, like shit, because I had another band that we had played together, and they liked the music that I was making with this other band, and I think it was just like, okay, let's see if this guy wants to try out. Um, they asked me to learn a couple of songs. They asked me to write a song, and I wrote the song that ended up being Ruina on the album Era. That was my tryout song. That was my audition.
Were you singing back then?
A little bit, but not an awful lot. Um, and in my other band, sometimes I would kind of like do little bits of singing, but it wasn't something that at that time I was really thinking about too much. And when me and Scott started working on vocals for Era, it was him that suggested. He was like, I want there to be melody in some of these choruses. I've got ideas, but he didn't feel particularly confident with them, or he didn't like the way that his voice sounded when he sings. Like when he screams, he can do it with pitch, and it sounds amazing, sounds
Yeah.
incredible. But when he like kind of clean sings, he doesn't like the tone of his voice.
Right. Okay.
And I remember we were sitting in the studio, we were working on a song like "Alone in the Sun," I think it was, which is also an era. And I was singing a melody to him, like, "Oh, try it like this, try and do it like this," and he was like, "Why don't you just do it?"
Yeah.
And that was it. Yeah, and he wasn't being a douche about it. He was literally being like you just do it because you're singing it at me. Like,
Yeah.
fine. Why don't you just do it? And I was like, okay, I'll try. Why not? And it just kind of grew arms and legs. And yeah, most songs now we have that sort of weapon in our arsenal. Like we can have a bit of singing. So
Hmm. No, it does work well. Well done.
appreciate that. Yeah.
What's your all right? Get back to the album,
Sure.
which is coming out a week from today, a week from the recording of this interview.
Yeah.
Um, Tell us about some of the songs on there. I will say that I like the bagpipes in place of your halo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is
Me
that
too.
something you've wanted to do before, done before?
No, it's the first time we've ever done it. It was a bit of a sticking point for a while with the guys. Like a couple of us always wanted to do it. We were kind of keen to try it and just see if we could make it work. But there was always a bit of a for us there was always a bit of a like a mission with it. It was like we really don't want it to be cheesy. We really don't want it to be like so in your face, like at the beginning of a song or something like that.
No,
We
no,
just
no.
come in with like a big like
Yeah.
Scottish sounding bagpipe piece or something. It's like that wasn't the vibe. We always wanted it to be tasteful and we wanted it to make sense. And yeah, it was Gunzi that came up with he wrote the instrumentation for that song, and I love this story. Like I wish he could tell you because he tells it perfectly, but I'll do my best to tell this story. He wrote most of the instrumentation for that song, and then he didn't have anything for the end of it, and he went up north with his girlfriend and his family, and they were at almost a festival, like a traditional music festival in Scotland. So there was fires and things like that, and there was bagpipes and marching snares and stuff. And he said that at one point they just started playing like a marching beat in the pipes in the exact tempo of that song, and
Yeah.
his brain was like, "Oh, why don't I put bagpipes at the end of that song?" So as soon as he got home, he wrote a little like fake bagpipe on like a MIDI instrument. It sounded awful, but it was a bagpipe, and he sent it to us, and we actually really liked it, and we were like, "Yeah, this is it." And it was very very close to what ended up being on the album, although we did get a real bagpiper and real marching snares recorded for the album.
Mm. No, I think it works really well and it's done just right. I think
Yeah.
not cheesy like you were afraid of. I think it's done just right. So well done on that. Some other tracks on the album. There must be some stories behind some of these.
Oh man, yeah, probably every song to be honest. Like every song's got some sort of like I've like worked really closely on this album. I always have with all of the stuff that we do. It's something that I take a hand in the engineering and the production of the whole album, like from the ground up sort of thing. Like Nolly did the drums, Dan Weller was there with the vocals, but I'm present at like every session, all the guitars, all the bass, all the vocals, all the drums. I'm always there. I'm always in it. So I feel like I'm kind of like almost like trauma bonded to some of these songs. So I'll have stories for every single song, dude. Even if you've just got one, I can probably give you something like.
Right. Immortal Desire.
Well, Immortal Desire is a song. So that's another one that's got a kind of unique element to it for us because within Place of Your Halo, it was like, okay, we're going to try the bagpipes. This is different for us. With Immortal Desire, Gunzi had always wanted to have a choir in that nature where it was multiple voices, like kind of poking out in the way that it does in the song. and we built up that idea piece by piece over quite a extended period of time. Sometimes our songs come together really quick. Like there are a few songs on the album where it'll have been presented as a full instrumental from the get-go, and we'll have maybe made little adjustments. But then songs like Immortal Desire sometimes take a little bit longer to come together and refine. Um, and obviously Brand from Mastodon ended up singing that chorus, which I absolutely love. We love Mastodon, so that was that's an absolute honor to have him singing on the album, an absolute honor. And it was really funny because when we were trying to come up with a vocal melody for the song, our bassist Davey recorded a voice message, like a little voice note, and he sent it to Scott. And at the end of the voice message, he sent a little text, and he was like, "It sounds like Brandela." And that was about a year and a half before we even knew that
Yeah,
Brandela
right.
was going to do anything on the album. And then yeah, like last summer we were finishing vocals for the album, and Scott and Davey were kind of like, "Oh, do you remember that idea that Davey had for a melody? Like let's pull that back up, a year later or whatever. Like let's listen to that." And then he mentioned Brandela in the text, and Kennedy and I, it was like a light bulb moment. It was like, why don't we just ask him to sing it? Like, we've met him now. We did Headbangers Boat and we met him, and he said his kids like the band, and he watched a couple of the sets. I imagine he loves Ali, our drummer, because Ali is an incredible drummer.
Mm.
So I would imagine that he enjoys watching him as well. So we had a bit of a relationship at that point, and it felt good to be able to ask him. It felt like it was something that we'd be able to do, and it wouldn't be weird. Like, hey, this new album coming out, do you fancy singing on it? Whereas a year or two prior, we would never have dreamed of asking Bran to sing
Mm.
on an album,
Yeah,
but it worked out.
yeah. Before the interview, I've still got it up as a tab on my browser up there, but I was watching the Hellfest gig from last year.
Yeah.
That must have been insane, man. What are your memories of that?
Yeah, Hellfest is a happy memory for me. It's ever since I joined the band 8 years ago, and the guys have always talked about Hellfest, and we had never played it. That was the first time we played it. It was like a sort of main stage somewhere around the middle of the day. So it
Mm.
was it was a sort of big entrance for us to that festival that we've always been like, oh, we're absolutely dying to play Hellfest. Like we need to play that festival. It's got such an amazing reputation in Europe for like the lineup and the
Mm.
facility, and the festival site itself is absolutely incredible. It's such a cool festival. And the crowd was unbelievable. Yeah, it was yeah, really happy memories from going and playing Hellfest for the first time. It was absolutely crazy. Yeah.
What's the most insane Bleed from Within show you've been a part of? What's something? There's got to be one moment where you've walked off stage and gone, "Holy crap! Did that just happen?" Is
Yeah.
there one that comes to mind?
Yeah, there was a bit of a moment. Do you know what? There's a couple for different reasons, I think. So there's one that was Resurrection Festival in Spain in 2022.
Yep.
Um, that's a fairly big festival. A lot of people go to that. And I don't really think any of us knew what to expect. We hadn't been to Spain in a long time, and we were kind of just going into it. Like we knew about the festival. We knew we were going to Spain. That You know what I mean? Like that was
Yeah,
yeah, that
yeah,
was the thing.
yeah,
It really was. It wasn't like Hellfest. It wasn't something that we'd been building up to for years and years, and
yeah.
we'd been thinking about all this time. It was just like, yeah, cool, we're going to Spain, and this festival will be good. And then it was absolutely unbelievable. Like it was insane. I remember the crowd going so crazy, and it was like, oh, people like it here. People know the band here. There was like so many
Yeah.
people singing and crowd surfing, and again, it was like late afternoon. The sun was still out. It was just kind of odd, but in the best way. And then we did a Loud Park Festival in Japan
Yep.
in 2023. Pantera were the headliner.
Yep.
Uh, and I think the whole experience of that was kind of crazy for us because it was like you land at the airport and somebody's got a sign with like Bleed from Within on it. When they take you to some like fancy hotel and they're like, "This is where you're at for a couple of nights," and you're like, "What's going on here?" And
Yeah.
then Yeah, you get driven to the festival and like premium vehicles and all that. It just felt like something that wasn't my life. And then
Yeah,
we got there.
yeah.
The show was absolutely insane. The crowd were fantastic, and it was massive. It was the biggest indoor show I think we've ever done. It was like 20,000. Oh, actually, that'll have changed recently on the Slipknot tour, but to that point, it was the biggest indoor show we had ever done. I think it was like 20,000. Um, and it was just, yeah, unbelievable to be playing in front of that many people in Japan. And there was like three massive circle pits going on at one point, and I was, what's going on here? Like, geez,
Good times. Good
good
times.
time, man. Absolutely, absolutely.
Right, album's coming out next week. What happens immediately then? Is it
We go
tour?
on, yep, yep. We're going straight to the States pretty much. Like the week after we're going to the States, we're touring with Trivium and Bullet for My Valentine. They're doing their anniversary of the Poison and Ascendancy tours at the minute. So we're gonna go out and do that for about a month in the States. Should be really good. Very much looking
Mm.
forward to it.
And then
We've got
asking a
a
leading question here. Yeah, go.
oh yeah, the youth, the youth. I mean, we're doing a headline tour towards the end of the year. The Zenith headline tour that's in UK and Europe. Really looking forward to that. Uh, Summer we're doing a few festivals. We're not doing that as many festivals as we have done in past, but we're doing like Download Festival. Kind of taking it a little bit easy this summer because Scott just had a kid.
Mhm.
Um, the schedule's a little bit less busy than usual, and then we might be coming to Australia. Who knows?
Who knows? Interesting.
Yeah, not me.
Very good. Let's talk guitars. You're on Comparison, I see.
Yeah, yeah.
What can
Those are
you
my
tell
guys.
us? Give them a plug. Go on.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I love comparison guitars. It was always something because Adam D plays comparison. I was always just like, oh yeah, they must be great, but I had never tried one, and I played sort of Ibanez in my earlier years, and I had a few like custom guitars and stuff. I was always a big fan of kind of like weird shapes and things like that, and then I remember that Ali spoke to comparison. Ali's our drummer, but he's also our manager and they were keen for me to try a guitar and see if I liked it. And I remember like the first time I held one and played it, I was just like, why is this like butter? It's so smooth. It's just the nicest playing guitar. Like I feel like there's always like a bit of an adjustment whenever I pick up a new guitar,
Mhm.
and it was weird how I just really fell into it with comparison. And I remember actually not too long ago I got a guitar from them. It's the Tat Special it's called, and I remember reading into the shape of the neck is like a kind of contour where at certain points on the neck it is a D shape and then it changes into a sort of flatter C shape.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that kind of blew my mind because I was like, that's so weird. That's not really a thing. Like, why have they done that? And then the more I play the guitar, I'm
Mm,
like, it
mm,
makes it so good to play. It makes it so
mm.
satisfying to play. It makes total sense. There's a lot of craftsmanship that goes into the comparisons for sure. It's something that they've really refined and they're super detailed about. And I've got like five guitars from them, and every single one of them I absolutely love. I adore playing them. So big shout out comparison.
Excellent. Stephen, getting to the end of my time, so I'll wrap it up. Thanks so much for having a chat to me. Best of luck with Zenith,
Thank you.
and best of luck on tour. And hopefully, the tour brings you down here sometime soon.
Yeah, I think it will. Pretty confident that something will happen finally because we've obviously not been yet. So looking forward to finally
Excellent.
coming to Australia. But yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate your time and yeah, hopefully your listeners enjoy the interview.
I'm sure they will. Thanks,
Fingers
mate. You
crossed.
have a great day.
Thank you, man. You too. Peace out.